For all the latest from the world of motoring, hit that subscribe button and stay connected.
The Duke 250 India launch in early 2017 was quite a surprise. While this machine was essentially a mix of the 390 and the 200, it still has quite a unique character. Nishan joins us today to share his ownership experience on the Duke 250, and he brought home his machine in early 2017. Hi Nishan, welcome back, and this time with a totally different machine. So there are a lot of options in the sub 300cc segment. How did you zero in on the Duke 250 and how's the experience been so far?
Thanks, Evan. It's great to be back here with this bike, the Duke 250. Yes, my requirement was a bit of trips, tours, and then a lot of city riding.
Okay.
And additionally, my wife really wanted to learn bike riding. She was impressed with our trips that we do quite a lot. Yes, a few bikes we had under consideration. This was one, and then we had the Dominar 400 along with the other 250, the Yamaha 250, or even the Apache 200. But then first thing that impressed me was the looks. I think KTM has done a great job in at least that department. I think we can all agree with that.
They definitely look good.
Yes,
yeah.
so the sharp looks actually is quite attractive, and specifically this color compared to the orange one, at least my personal preference. So this looks brilliant.
Orange is too mainstream KTM.
Yes, mainstream KTM. I think they've changed the shade as well, so that makes quite a lot of difference. So this is what caught our eye. And then yes, we all know it's nimble compared to all the other bikes. Yes, Apache is quite nimble and quick as well, but then I think it's a bit of an old school design that we have right now compared to the other bikes. And then Dominar was a bit on the heavier side and looked bulky. So since my wife also wanted to learn, I was assuming her on the Dominar, didn't really like the sight of it. I think this fit her well.
Okay.
But then my personal usage, yes, a lot of city as well. You can actually squeeze through traffic quite a lot very easily, at least compared to my Versys that I have. So, and yes, it definitely handles quite a lot better. So yeah, there is a premium charged on this bike. I think it's all right if you really love the bike. I think it's a good decision to get this bike.
Okay, now the engine character of the 250, it's not that like of your typical KTM like the 390 or the 200. How has your experience been with it?
Yep, so as we know, it's a 250 and about 30 bhp of power, I'd say. Yes, it's very different than both the 200, the Duke 200 and the 390. Surprisingly, it's very calm. So that's the first thing that actually impressed me. I've owned a Honda CBR 250 earlier, and I kind of connect to this bike and that bike in a very similar manner. Of course, not the refinement element, but then I think it's way more calmer than the other Dukes. Helps me a lot in the city, where I can actually take my time to figure out where I want to go and then maybe give that throttle. So unlike the 390 that we know is pretty quick.
Always in a hurry.
Always in a hurry. So this is not that, definitely not that. And it gives you enough amount of time to really like enjoy the bike, not just push you around wherever it wants to go.
Like
so
the 390 and the 200, they're like, okay, go, keep going.
Exactly. So this doesn't do that at all. So you can actually enjoy. I personally enjoy this bike. Yes, there might be a few downsides to it, wherein it might be a bit laggy in certain RPMs.
Okay.
I think KTM has to fix that. I think it should be an easy fix as well, because when the bike has run quite a lot and heats up, there is no lag. But then only initially when it's a bit
around
older,
3,500-4,000
yes,
RPM.
so
That's
3.5 to 4,000. There is a lag in the lower gears at least.
Okay.
But then once you're past that lag, it's actually a quick bike.
Okay.
Doesn't feel like that when you start the bike and start rolling. But then when the revs build up, it's pretty quick. Handling, of course, we know how brilliant it is. So the power delivery is linear. Okay. I know they have fixed even the same on the 390 as well, on the newer 390, but then this is more calmer, as I've already said. Yes, heats up lesser as well, and does create lesser vibes compared to the other one. So yes, I think it's a very good upgrade for someone who is upgrading from a 150 or a 180 and don't really want to get into the 390 range because might get scarier as well for a lot of people.
390 is not exactly daily use. Right?
Correct, exactly. So this I think serves the purpose for both the daily use bike that you can take it to office without really worrying about the heat or the rush it gives or the braking. Yes, and yes, of course you can go for the daily trips as well, your weekend trips.
You're saying daily rides commute, so then efficiency becomes very important.
Correct.
So what mileage are you getting out of it?
So I'm getting somewhere around the 30 range. 30 to 32 is what I've noticed. Again, varies upon how I ride the bike.
Okay.
You can actually push this like the 390. Of course, it doesn't go as fast, but then it does give you the same kind of josh when you really rev it hard.
Okay.
Or you can actually choose to stay it down,
calm.
be calm, and then actually if you're worried about efficiency, I think you can get a decent amount of 31 to 32 on this one with a calmer ride.
But regular usage, normal.
Yeah, I think comes around the 29 to 30 range for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
So the engine has changed. The engine character is different now from the regular 200s and the 390s. But what about the typical KTM characteristics like the handling and braking? How is this machine in terms of that?
So Dukes, as we know, have always been a great handlers. Yes, this I think they have improved it. Earlier Dukes, the older Dukes, I was not really a fan of the ergonomics. I had confusion where to keep my leg. I think they have solved that according to me. Okay. The placement or rather the rider triangle that you call it, I think it's way lot better than the earlier Dukes, at least according to my observation. And yes, it's a killer handler as always. You can belt it in the corners, in the curves, and you can actually stay in the corner for quite a long time, and it will keep you there, not push you away. So it does things that you tell it to do. That's one. I think that's the USP of this bike. Great handler. So
so basically it is taken everything existing from the KTM range.
Right.
And,
right.
It's actually a mix and match also, right? From the 200 and the 390.
Correct. That's right.
The best parts from both.
Yes, that's right. So the calmer nature as well as the brilliant handling and even the feedback as such. So that I think they have ticked the right box here with the 250. As far as the braking is concerned, yes, this doesn't have the ABS. And I think the braking should have been much better for the power it offers. It stops a bit slower than the 200, according to me, and definitely needed better rubber. Not a great feedback from the MRFs that we have. We all know, yes, the stock MRFs. We all know how great Maxillars are.
Speed and it just doesn't
exactly. So even in the corners, the feedback is a bit lacking compared to the 390s is a Maxillar. Yes. So that's obvious, but then I think they can fix that by just plotting a lower spec Maxillar at least to compensate for the price. So braking, yes, a lot to be improved. Doesn't stop really great. It's not as sharp as the 390. Pretty much as the 200, but since it's faster and a bit heavier as well.
So you want that extra.
You want that extra bite on this as far as the braking is concerned.
Okay, now let's come down to the ownership part, the proper ownership part of maintenance. Now, at the end of the day, bike needs to be easy to maintain, especially when you said daily use. So, how has your experience been with the Duke 250?
So, the maintenance part, not really a lot of kharcha, I can say. Okay. Yes, there are a couple of free services involved with the bike that you take from showroom. Okay. And then, parts, as we know, Bajaj parts, that pretty cheap, I'd say, and this bike has not given him a problem as such. So owned it for about a year.
Changes.
Yeah, no parts changes as such.
Part failures or
definitely no.
Nothing.
Definitely no. So I think at least that, as far as the 250 is concerned, is pretty sorted. I think that's got to do with the low, I mean, the non-high revving nature, since it doesn't really rev too much. So I don't know if that's connected, but then, yeah. So it's been pretty stable for the past 1 year, more than a year that I won.
Some KTM owners were having issues with the coolant leaking into the engine. No issues.
Right.
Like
so
that.
I've not had any issues. I've thrashed it quite a lot in the city, majorly. Even in the summers, I've not faced any issue on this bike. No oil leakages, no coolant leakages as such. So I think they've kind of sorted out that issue on the 250 at least. And service as about 2000 or so, including the oil changes. So not a lot. Oil itself will cost you somewhere close to 1,400 to 1,500 bucks. So the rest of the things are pretty cheap. So you'll just need the oil filter. That's about it. Air filter once in a while, once in 2-3 services. So that's about it. So I think it's pretty affordable in that sense to maintain. Definitely no issues that has popped up at least on my bike. Or even my other friends with the 250, I've never heard an issue as such. Yes. So it's definitely smooth, touch wood. I'm guessing they can carry over these to the other models as well, where it's actually stable enough for people to enjoy the bike.
So clearly your experience so far has been really smooth with the Duke 250. But do you suggest any changes or modifications to make the ownership experience better?
And in terms of modifications, I think the first thing as I said earlier, will be to change the tires. I've not yet done till now, but then to plonk in a set of Metzeler's, I think this will perform brilliantly.
Feel even better.
Oh yeah, definitely better. Lights, I don't think, I mean, we have a habit of adding auxiliary lights for almost every bike right now. I think you don't really need an aux light on this. The throw is brilliant thanks to the bigger reflector that we have in the front. And I've never felt the need that you need a bigger light. Maybe you can change it to a better bulb, higher wattage bulb. I mean, at least something like the Osram or the Philips ones that you get, that will improve and make the lighting sharper. I think that's more than enough light being put out from the headlight
setup
there.
Is really good.
Definitely good. And yes, so you'll get a lot of accessories these days. So starting with a better crash guard. I think the ones that come with the bike are pretty flimsy. You get better crash guards. I think you can plonk that off, and you get the saddle stays as well as the rack. So quite a lot of local manufacturers doing that for pretty affordable prices. You can do that for touring purposes. And of course, you have the frame sliders. You have the fork sliders as well. I've got the fork sliders, which actually helps in terms of a fall, protecting the fork. So as such, nothing very major. But yeah, I did get the ECU upgrade, or rather the piggyback ECU as we call it, from Powertronics. That has really given the bike a bit of a rush feeling, very similar to the 390. But then very controlled in nature as well, so without really messing up with the reliability part. So this is the piggyback ECU that connects to the stock ECU.
Just plug and play.
Yes, plug and play, and then you can bump up the power slightly and make it more engaging experience on the bike. The other good thing about the bike is the existence of the slipper clutch, like the 390. I think you can actually feel it when you're changing gears. You can actually use the clutch in just one finger.
Much more lighter.
Yeah, much more lighter. Helps in city riding, of course, and of course, yes. So constant shifting, I have no issues at all. And then yes, so it runs smoother and more cooler as well, as I've already mentioned.
So
but then
you don't need any further changes, nothing.
Not really, but then there are a few things that maybe KTM can work on. The fan is extremely loud. Somehow I felt it louder than the 390's fan. In traffic, fan is all you can hear. The engine sound is pretty muted thanks to the newer silencer. But when you rev it, I think I like the sound of this.
The rider really hears it better.
Correct, that's right. So there is no more the auto sound that we all know of. That has been taken care of thanks to the newer silencer. Maybe plonk in a different silencer if you want a different sound. That's always possible on this one. Stock sound is brilliant on the newer 250. Yes, these are a few things I think good and bad about the bike, and I think KTM has done a good job in getting this mid-segment bike, as we can call it, in the current market.
Fill the gap between the 200 and 390.
Yes, that's right.
So Nishant, thank you so much for sharing your feedback on the Duke 250. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in knowing more about this bike because this one stands a bit bit odd from the 200 and the 390. So a lot of people will definitely want to know the ownership experience.
That's right. Thanks for getting me here, sharing my review about the bike. I think it's a good choice for a person who is looking for city commute on a daily basis, on a weekday basis, and then trips on the weekend. I think this serves the purpose well without really denting your wallet quite a lot. So thanks again for getting me here.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
So guys, the Duke 250 is not your typical KTM when it comes to its engine character, but still rides and handles beautifully. If you have any questions, do ask them below, and thanks for watching.